The sun burned high above Dry Creek, pressing heat down until the land itself seemed to shimmer. Eli Rollins squinted against the glare as his horse carried him down the dusty trail. Each hoofbeat kicked up red dust that clung to his chaps and shirt. He'd been riding since dawn, 40 miles from his ranch, for nothing more than a few sacks of barley. The drought had bitten harder this year. His horses needed feed if they were to make it through. He hated town, but there was no choice. Dry Creek appeared at last, rising from the desert like a ghost town half alive. Faded signs creaked. Horses stood tied outside the saloon, heads drooping. The air smelled of dust, sweat, and sour whiskey. Eli swung down in front of Morrison's general store. "Won't be long, boy," he told his horse, patting its hot neck. Inside, the air was thick but cooler. Shelves sagged under bolts of cloth, jars of beans, boxes of ammunition. Storekeeper Chester Morrison was talking loud, puffed up in front of 2 ranchers. "Told her last week, no more credit," he said. "That Miriam Harper's always been trouble." Tom Garrett chuckled. "Trouble before her husband died, worse after." Eli ignored them. "Afternoon," he said evenly. "I'll take 3 sacks of barley." Morrison looked up. "Eli Rollins. Haven't seen you in months. That'll be $12. Eli handed him the bills. Before Morrison could count them, the doorbell jingled. The room went still. A woman stepped in. She was younger than Eli expected, maybe 25. Her dark hair was pulled back in a plain knot. Her faded calico dress was mended, but she held herself straight, proud despite it. "Mr. Morrison," she said softly, "I need flour, salt, and a tin of lard." Morrison's face hardened. "Cash up front, Mrs. Harper." "You know that." She opened her small purse, laying out coins. Eli could see from where he stood, it wasn't enough. Morrison counted them slow, dragging out her shame. "This'll cover half the flour. No salt. No lard." Miriam Harper's hands trembled. "Then I'll take what it covers." Garrett smirked. "Maybe you should try other ways of earning money. Widows got to make their way somehow." Miriam turned, fire flashing in her eyes. "I manage honestly, Mr. Garrett, more than some can say." "Honest women don't poison their husbands," the other man muttered. The words dropped like a stone. Miriam's face went pale, but she stood her ground. "My flour, Mr. Morrison." Morrison leaned forward. "Prices have gone up. Those coins might buy you a cup of flour now." Eli's jaw tightened. He stepped forward and laid $2 silver on the counter. "Add what the lady needs to my order." The room went quiet. Miriam turned to him, pride and desperation warring in her eyes. Up close, Eli saw the hollows in her cheeks, the worn leather boots, the mended dress. "I can't accept that," she whispered. "You're not accepting," Eli said calmly. "Store made an error in my favor last time I was here. This squares us. Right, Morrison?" Morrison flushed but nodded. Miriam's voice shook. "Flour, salt, lard, and a small bag of sugar. For my daughter." "Whatever she needs," Eli said, turning away to give her her dignity. When her order was packed, she paused beside him. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I'll repay you." "No need, ma'am," Eli replied, touching his hat. She searched his face for a hidden price. Finding none, she walked out with her head high. "You've made a mistake," Morrison muttered. "That woman's nothing but trouble." Eli lifted his sacks. "Seems to me a woman feeding her child ain't the trouble." Outside, the sun was sinking low. As Eli rode north, he told himself it didn't matter. But he couldn't stop thinking of her face, her pride, and her little girl waiting at home. 3 days later, he turned his horse back toward the Harper place with a sack of seed corn in his saddlebag. The house looked tired, roof patched, fence falling. A little girl stood in the yard, dark hair, solemn eyes, her mother's reflection. She just watched him, no smile. Eli tied his horse. Before he could knock, the door opened. Miriam Harper stood there with a kitchen knife in hand. Her grip loosened when she saw him. "Mr. Rollins." "Eli," he said. "Brought some seed. Thought it might help." Her eyes narrowed. "Thought maybe the poor widow could use charity. Thought maybe someone trying to keep a garden alive could use seed sitting useless in my barn." They stared at each other until Miriam finally sighed and lowered the knife. "I suppose you'd better come in." Inside was poor but spotless. 3 chairs, a wood stove, shelves half empty. "Sarah," she called. The little girl curtsied shyly. "Would you like some water, Mr. Rollins?" Miriam asked. "I'm fine. Just came to show you how to plant the seed right." She studied him, wary, then nodded. "Show me." For 2 hours, they worked side by side. He showed her how to dig deep, shape the soil, water at dawn and dusk. Sarah followed, carrying seeds in her apron. When the sun dropped low, Eli said, "That's enough for today." Miriam wiped her brow, exhausted. "I don't know how to thank you." "No need," he said. "Just neighbors helping neighbors." She laughed without humor. "Neighbors? You're the only man in town who'll be seen here." He didn't answer. He just gathered his tools and turned to go. As he mounted up, Sarah called out, "Mr. Cowboy?" "Yes, miss." "Are you a good man or a bad man?" "Sarah." Miriam scolded. Eli smiled faintly. "I try to be good," he said. "Don't always succeed." "Why do you ask?" "Mama says good men don't hurt little girls. But the men in town say bad things to Mama, and they're supposed to be good men." Eli knelt so they were eye to eye. "Sometimes folks forget what good means. Your mama's a good woman, Sarah. Don't let anyone tell you different." She nodded solemnly, then hugged him quick and tight. That night, storm clouds rolled over the desert. Rain hammered Eli's ranch roof. He couldn't sleep, thinking of Miriam and Sarah in that broken house. Finally, he saddled up and rode into the storm. By the time he reached the Harper place, the roof was caving in. Water poured through. Miriam was fighting leaks with buckets, Sarah crying. "Let me help!" Eli shouted. "The roof's giving way," she cried. "Get what you need, we're moving to the barn." He scooped up Sarah, carried her through the rain. Inside the barn, he built a small fire and wrapped his coat around them both. "You'll freeze," Miriam protested. "I'll manage." "That child won't." They sat close, the storm raging outside. "It's gone, isn't it?" she whispered. "Half down. But it can be rebuilt." "With what?" she said bitterly. "We have nothing left. We'll figure it out." "There's no we, Mr. Rollins." "Eli," he said quietly. "And maybe there is now." She turned her face away, tears slipping down. "Why?" He looked at her through the flickering firelight. "Because some things are worth fighting for. And you and that little girl are 2 of them." When dawn came, the house stood broken, but the walls still up. Eli promised to return with lumber. She told him not to, said it would ruin him, but he came anyway. They worked side by side, rebuilding. Each board nailed seemed to draw them closer. Sarah laughed more, Miriam smiled sometimes without meaning to. Then the sheriff came riding with Garrett and 2 others. "Rollins," he said, "folks are talking. Single man spending his days at a widow's house. Ain't proper." Eli stood his ground. "Fixing a roof seems proper to me." Garrett spat. "She poisoned her husband. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows lies, Miriam said sharply. And no one lifted a finger when my roof fell in. Mr. Rollins did. If that shames you, it's your shame. The men rode off, but the warning stayed. Weeks later, 5 drunk cowhands cornered Eli in town. The widow's man, one jeered. The first punch split his lip, but Eli fought back hard until the sheriff broke it up. You've chosen your side, Garrett spat. Eli rode straight to Miriam's. She stitched his cuts, trembling. You're paying for standing with us, she whispered. I told you, he said softly. It's my fight now. Why, Eli? He met her eyes. Because when I look at you, I see more than trouble. I see someone worth every risk. She turned away, tears falling. I don't want to hope. Hope anyway, he said. After that, Eli was there every day, fixing fences, bringing food, teaching Sarah to ride. The house filled with laughter again. But peace didn't last. One night, men rode by shouting, throwing rocks through the windows. Eli fired into the air, scattering them. The next morning, he made his choice. Pack what you can. You're coming to my ranch. Miriam hesitated, but Sarah clutched his arm. Please, Mama. I want to live where the bad men can't find us. So they left the broken house behind. That night, under the stars on Eli's porch, Miriam looked at him. What are we doing, Eli? He took her hand, rough and warm. Building something new, he said. If you'll let me. Her eyes shimmered. Then slowly, she nodded. Eli Rollins had come to Dry Creek for barley. Instead, he found a widow, a child, and the family he didn't know he was searching for. And together, no matter what came, storm, gossip, or gun, they'd fight for the life they'd begun.